Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom KLS and Shabbat Shalom to you who are watching us online. We start our service on page 129. 129. Please stand. Ma tovu, ma tovu, ma tovu alecha Yaakov. Mikshnotecha Yisrael, Mikshnotecha Yisrael, Vani berov rasdecha avo veitecha, Eshtachave, Eshtachave, Elecha al kodshecha, Beiratecha, Elech al kodshecha beiratecha. Adonai ahavti meron beitecha umekom mishkan kevodecha v'ani eshtachave ואכרע אברך לפני אדוני עושי ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים אלוהים ברוב חסדך ענני באמת, ענני באמת, אישך, באמת אישך. Please be seated. Source of life, of truth, and of the impulse within us towards justice and mercy. May this hour of worship be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Let the words we speak enter our hearts and influence our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in search of you or in need of comfort and consolation. May the offering of our hearts be acceptable to you, and may the prayers we utter here bear fruit in acts of kindness, peace, and love. And we say together the blessing for Torah study. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. And we're on page 130. We read responsively. With what shall I approach the Eternal One? How shall I worship the God of heaven? Shall I come before God with burnt offerings, or with yearling calves? Will God be pleased with thousands of rams, or with 10,000 rivers of oil? Should I give my firstborn for my transgressions, the fruit of my body for the sins of my soul? People tell you what is good, but what does the Eternal One require of you? Only to do justly and love mercy and walk humbly with your God. Page 131. אלו דברים שאדם אוכל פירותיהם בעולם הזה, והקרן קיימת לו לעולם הבא, ואלו הן כיבוד אב ואם וגמילות חסדים, והשכמת בית המדרש השחרית והערבית, והכנסת הורים וביקור חולים, והכנסת כלה ולוויית המת ועיון תפילה, ואהבת שלום בין אדם לחברו, ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולם. Eternal God, may the word, please join me, sweet to us and to all Israel, that we and our children and all the children of your people may come to know you by studying Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of your people Israel. Page 132. ברוך שאמר והיה העולם ברוך הוא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המהולל בפי עמו, משובח ומפואר בלשון חסידיו ועבדיו, בשברות ובזמירות נגדלך ונמלירך, מלכנו יחיד העולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות. And let's read responsively. We're on page 132. 132. Sing for joy to the Eternal One, you who are righteous. For the upright do well to give praise. Give thanks to the Eternal One with a lyre. Make music to God with a 10-string harp. Sing to God a new song. Play well with shouts of joy. For God's word holds good. God's every deed is done in faithfulness. The Eternal One loves righteousness and justice. The earth is full of God's kindness. By the Eternal One's word the heavens were made, and all their hosts by the breath of God's mouth. At the divine command the ocean waves rise, or gather instead in the vaults of the deep. Let all the earth revere the Eternal One. Let all who dwell there stand in awe of God, who spoke, and it was, who commanded, and it stood firm. Eicha ashir al yom v'layla, v'elohim hu yetzaram. How shall I sing of day and night, when it is God who formed them? How shall I sing of heaven and earth, when it is God who founded them? How shall I sing of mountains and hills, when it is God who planted them? How shall I sing of deserts and seas, when it is God who begot them? How shall I sing of earth and her fullness, when it is God who bade them be? I shall sing of the one who fashioned them all, the one who is above them all. Of God, God alone, I shall sing. Page 134. No, it's fine. I mean, does it bother you? I love it. Yeah, I love the sounds of kids. So you're okay with that? Okay. Alleluia, 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 alleluia el bekodsho, alleluia birkia uzo, alleluia bigvurotav, alleluia kerov gudlo. Alleluia, 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 alleluia בתקע שופר, alleluia בנבל וכינור, alleluia בתוף ומחול, alleluia במינים ועוגב, alleluia, 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 alleluia בצלצל שמם, alleluia בצלצל תרועה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, כל הנשמה תהלליה, alleluia, 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 alleluia. Please stand. We're now on page 135. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ. כי לך נאה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו. שיר ושבחה, הלל וזמרה, ברכות והודאות, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בשירי זמרה. ברוך Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. Page 136. Please join me. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy, you give light to the earth and all who live on it. In your goodness, you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light. And we continue together. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truth of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called your people Israel to serve you. Please stand. Shema Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשרבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Please be seated. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. שירה חדשה, שיברו גלים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל, גאל ישראל, ישראל. On page 140, please stand. We will do together the first 3 blessings of Yamida, and then we will take some time in private to read the last bit of Yamida from the 4th blessing onwards. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'emoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzrak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Koneh Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיע ישועה, ונאמנת להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים. We sanctify your name on earth, as in the prophet's vision the host of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech kol haaretz kevodo, kevodo malei olam. Baruch kevod Adonai mimekomo. From your concealment, majestic one, reveal yourself and rule over us, for you are our hope. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, Alleluia. From generation to generation, we'll make known your greatness. To the end of time, we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, Eternal One, the Holy God. And now we read the end of Yamida and we come back together on page 146. Please be seated. The words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to your God, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol bnei Adam. Right, so I'm taking the lulavim out of their bags because now we are going to do a bit of Hallel. You know, that's a prayer we recite on festivals. It's a series of psalms that we recite, and as we recite the Hallel, we will also shake the Lulav for the last time, because Monday evening start a new festival. So it's a bit tricky, you know, the end of Sukkot in the Jewish tradition, in the Bible, let's say in the Bible, the last day of Sukkot is called Shmini Atzeret. Shmini Atzeret means the 8th day of conclusion, something like that. And at the same time, in the Middle Ages, there was a new tradition, a new custom, which meant to start reading the Torah scroll on the day after Shmini Atzeret. And it became around, it's hard to say, let's say between the 9th and the 12th century, so it gives us enough space, it became a new festival called Simchat Torah. So in an Orthodox synagogue outside of Israel, the last day of Sukkot is called Shmini Atzeret, which is effectively starting on Monday evening, which is the 8th day of Sukkot. And Tuesday evening starts Simchat Torah. So that's in an Orthodox synagogue outside Israel. Now, inside Israel, the Orthodox synagogues don't double the festival days. So they do Shmini Atzeret Simchat Torah on the same day, which is Monday evening. And we follow, progressive Judaism, we follow the custom in Israel, because the rationale behind doubling the festival days was because they were not always sure, to make sure that we really cover the proper day. They would start on they would sometimes give two days for one festival. And I mean, it would be silly to believe today that we can mix the days. Are you okay? Tina, you okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so a little spiel about it's, you know, we have a lot of symbols for Sukkot and Simchat Sukkot. So we have a sukkah, and we'll do the kiddush under the sukkah later, and we have what's called the lulav, and it's a very interesting symbol because we have 4 elements. And I need to find because I need to remember the Hebrew names and the English names, and I forgot the French ones. So this is a palm tree. The palm tree in Hebrew is called the lulav itself, the palm tree, and that's un palmier. Voilà, un palmier. Merci. Palmier. And that's the strong bit of it. That's the spine, if you want, that keeps everything together. Then we have the willow here, this bit, which is the willow, and in Hebrew it's arava. And arava, according to some sources, that represents the mouth. So it's a bit sad now because it's been out of the earth and water for a long time now. And then we have here the hadas, the myrtle. So willow in French, I can't remember. No, it's oak, chêne. Willow is. So when I go back to France and I can't find the words in French, they tell me that I'm I'm very smug. No, you can't remember your French, you're so smug now. Anyway, willow. And myrtle, which is easy because in French is myrte. And myrtle is Hadass, which is not by coincidence, but it's also one of do you know what the other names of Esther, Queen Esther, in the book of Hadassah? So there's a connection here between the symbolism of Hadass, which symbolizes the eyes. And of course we have the etrog, which is a kind of citrus. It's and smells. I love the smell of it. It's such a great symbol. So the four species in Hebrew, arba minim, are joined together when we do the lulav shaking. And I had a discussion with Beiteinu just before. We had a very nice conversation about the four children of Yagada, for example, the four species representing the diversity of human beings, which are stronger together. So we have all these different types of people here, but together, and so you have the etrog, which likes to wander around, it's kind of a free spirit or loose cannon, depending how you want to define it. But so it's nice. So it smells good, so we will forgive loose cannon. So altogether, they represent the Jewish people. They represent humankind. They represent the diversity of human beings and life. And we hold them together because we know, and it's part of a very important Jewish values, is that togetherness, community, is probably a way where people can thrive. It's a place where people can actually accomplish who they are. And in Judaism, community is a very important element. So we are going to say the Hallel, which is on page 4. Oh gosh, 468. Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. So the Hallel is a series of songs that were used when our ancestors would go up to the Temple of Jerusalem, when they would present the first fruits of their work. So let's say first the blessing of the Hallel, page 468. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et ha'alel. And we also say the blessing of the Lulav, which is the previous page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat lulav. Netilat lulav is like raising the lulav. So we will sing the Hallel, and remember we do the 6 dimensions and the 6 directions. So we have front, I don't know, right or left, right, behind, left, up and down, to represent that God is everywhere. So I will, we have 3 sets of Lulavim. So if you feel comfortable, you can either clean your hands if you want. We have there, or if you want to wear gloves, if you don't feel like holding the Lulavim like this, you can wear gloves, or do how do you say, squirt? So take a little squirt, clean your hands, and it will completely ruin the Lulav, of course, but that's the last time. Okay, so I'm going to do first because I will give it to you. Oops. Oh gosh. Sorry. Okay, please stand on page 468. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. How is this? No. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Avdei Adonai. Hallelujah. Shem Adonai. Shem Adonai. Mevorach me'ata ve'ad olam. Please come forward and we have 3 sets of Lulavim. So, and I'll show you how to. Wants to the next one? Do you want to? Yes, please come. Yes, please take it. Yes. So you keep them. Oh, it's okay. ממזרח שמש עד מבוא. מהולל שם אדוני, רם על כל הגויים אדוני, על השמיים והארץ. Yeah, you can just, shake, shake, shake. Shake Lulav. כי מכאדוני אלוהינו, המגביל השבת, המשפיל לראות בשמיים ומארץ. Okay, page 474. הללו את אדוני כל גויים, שבחו כל ההומים, כי גבר עלינו חסדו, ואמת אדוני לעולם. הללויה. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמרנה ישראל, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמרו נא בית אהרון, כי לעולם חסדו. יאמרו נא ירא אדוני, כי לעולם חסדו. Sarah, can I ask you to show them again how to do that? Because I'm not sure if Russell remember. Do you remember how to do that? Okay, can you explain again? Yeah. Yeah, like when you learn how to dance, so come here, and the others, you go behind Sarah, and you will do as Oh, yes. Okay, page 476. עודך כי עניתני ותהי לישועה. עודך כי עניתני ותהי לישועה. אבן מעשו הבונים, הייתה לחוש פינה. אבן מעשו הבונים, הייתה לראש פינה. מאת אדוני הייתה זאת, כי נפלאת בינינו. מאת אדוני הייתה זאת, היא נפלאת בינינו. זה היום עשה אדוני, נגילה ונשמחה בו. זה היום עשה אדוני, נגילה ונשמחה בו. ענה אדוני יושיענה, ענה אדוני יושיענה, ענה אדוני יצליחנה, ענה אדוני יצליחנה. הודו לאדוני כי טוב, כי לעולם חסדו. Yasher Koar, well done. You can bring the Lulavim here back if you want. Yes, put it there and I will. Thank you. That smells really good. Yes. I don't know how to do that. Does anyone know how to do marmalade? Or jam? Because we're not using this anymore, so I would be very happy to. You make jam? So do you want to take the free etrogim and make jam? Okay, so that's the deal. Please be seated. Oh, Meira from Australia is online as well. Shabbat Shalom to you. So it's probably quite late now. You already are outside Shabbat. Sandra is here as well, and Janet is queuing for petrol. Shabbat Shalom and good luck, Janet. It's really hard it's at the moment. So Deborah, Shabbat Shalom, Deborah from Bradford, and Michelle Lafitte as well. So, Shabbat Shalom to you. Yeah, Meira, I'm very happy to see you, online, that you're here with us. Right, I'm aware of the time, and I wanted to read part of a book of Kohelet. So, I will read from the scroll, because that's now the part of the service. But if you don't mind, if you agree with me, I will just open the scroll without the liturgy around, so I can take a bit of time to read from the book of Kohelet, which is usually read on Sukkot. Are you happy with that? Yeah? Okay, good. So today I wanted to invite the entire community. So I will ask you to stand and to say the blessings for the Torah reading. And I will tell you when to do that. Okay, just check that it's the right place. So I will call you. Right. So just a few words before. The Shabbat is called Shabbat Chol HaMoed Sukkot, which is one of the special Shabbats. We have another one. What's the other festival that lasts a week and we have a Chol HaMoed? Pesach. So there's a Shabbat Chol HaMoed Pesach as well. And during Shabbat Chol HaMoed, there is a special Torah portion which is related to the festivals and which is not connected to the Torah cycle. And for this Shabbat, so we have a few verses from the chapter 34 of the book of Exodus. And you will understand, I'm not going to go into details yet, and you will understand why we read actually this passage. So the Eternal said to Moses, "Carve 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I will inscribe upon the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you shattered. Be ready by morning, and in the morning come up to Mount Sinai and present yourself there to me on the top of the mountain. No one else shall come up with you, and no one else shall be seen anywhere on the mountain. Neither shall the flocks and the herds graze at the foot of this mountain." So Moses carved 2 tablets of stone, like the first, and early in the morning he went up on Mount Sinai, as the Eternal had commanded him, taking the 2 stone tablets with him. The Eternal came down in a cloud. God stood with him there and proclaimed the name Eternal. The Eternal passed before him and proclaimed, and that's a verse which is part of the High Holidays liturgy. If you remember, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum ve'Rachum, Erech Apayim v'Chesed v'Chesed. The Eternal, a God compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in kindness and faithfulness, extending kindness to the 1,000th generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin. Yet God does not remit all punishment, but visits the iniquity of parents upon the children and children's children, upon the 3rd and 4th generation. Moses hastened to bow low to the ground in homage. So the connection here is Adonai, this verse, where it's called somewhere else, the 13 attributes of God. So if you remember, the Bible is not theological tractate. It doesn't say God is this and God is not that. It's not as clear as we can see later on. For example, if you think about the Middle Ages and Maimonides, who tried to describe God in words, in the Bible there's nothing like that. We see God acting and behaving and being angry, happy, being sad, but there's nothing that says, especially in the Torah, the first 5 books, there's no clear indication, theological indication how God should be understood. So this is probably the closest verse from the entire Torah that explains what God is about. So now these 13 attributes are something that we, convoke? Yes, we convoke them on Yom Kippur. Invoke, yes, invoke. Not summon. Summon is a bit harder. We don't summon God. Come on. Maybe you should be a bit blunter, but anyway. So we invoke these 13 attributes, and that's something we also do under the Sukkah. If you listened yesterday to what I said, there's a tradition called the Ushpizin, the guest, which originated in the Zohar and was then extended by Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Kabbalist of the 16th century. And he said, on each night of the festival, we welcome under the Sukkah 7 guests, 1 guest each night. And these 7 guests, according to the Zohar, each of them represent an attribute of the divine. And when we invite people under the Sukkah, we, in a way, open this veil of this division between our world and the heavenly world, according to the Zohar. And it's one of these moments in time where we are more connected. Remember the end of Yom Kippur, we talk about at the Ne'ilah, we say the doors are closed now. So we open the doors and we close the door from time to time. And being under the Sukkah is this kind of vortex, a divine vortex that brings energy into our world. So that's the connection. We invoke here the 13 attributes of God as we do under the Sukkah when we welcome the guest, the Ushpizin. So I said I'd like today to offer an aliyah to the entire community. So people who are online, please stand as well. And we are on page 4. 8, 4, 8, 2. Okay, please stand and say the blessings. Okay. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato, baruch ata Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. So Exodus chapter 34, verses 1 to 8. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, פסע לך שני לוחות אבנים כראשונים, וכתבתי על הלוחות את הדברים אשר היו על הלוחות הראשונים אשר שיברת. ויהיה נכון לבוקר, ועלית בבוקר אל הר סיני, וניצבת לי שם על ראש ההר, ואיש לא יעלה עמר, וגם איש אל ירע בכל ההר, גם הצאן והבקר אל יראו אל מול ההר ההוא. ויפסל שני לוחות האבנים כראשונים. וישכם משה בבוקר, ויעל על הר סיני, כאשר ציווה אדוני אותו. ויקח בידו שני לוחות אבנים. וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצבו עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני. And this is where it starts. ויעבור אדוני על פניו, ויקרא אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום ורחום, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נושא חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא, ונקה לא ינקה, פוקד עוון אבות, על בנים ועל בני בנים, על שילשים ועל ריבעים. וימהר משה ויקודח צער, וישתחו. Please stand and we say a blessing after. Page 482. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. Amen. Please be seated. So I will put the scroll back into the ark now, and then I will read the Haftarah for Shabbat Chol HaMoed Sukkot, because I think it's one of those texts which we read, the 5 Megillot, which we read on 5 occasions during the Jewish year. And we don't read it enough, I think, because it's a very interesting text that talks about human destiny. It's a very misery God text, to be honest with you, which, we may wonder why when we talk about Simcha, because, one of the commandments of the festival of Sukkot is to be happy, to celebrate Sukkot in happiness. So why are we reading such a somber, depressive text? So I have a few ideas, but I'd like to hear what you have to say. So I will read it first. Gosh. Can I have someone helping me, please? I think I'm not going to be able to do it. It's really, really too big. Thank you. I'm going to sit there, maybe. It's probably easier, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. Okay. Right, we're on page 483. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם,
אשר בחר בנביאים טובים, ורצה ודבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה, אדוני, הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו, ובישראל עמו, ובנביאי האמת וצדק.
So the first part is the first chapter of the book of Kohelet in Hebrew, Ecclesiastes in Latin and in English, actually. And you know this text very well. The words of Kohelet, son of David, king in Jerusalem. So tradition believes that it was actually King Solomon. Hevel Havalim Amar Kohelet. Hevel Havalim Hakol Havel. Utter futility, said Kohelet. Utter futility. All is futile. What real value is there for a man in all the gains he makes beneath the sun? One generation goes, another comes, but the earth remains the same forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and glides back to where it rises, southward blowing, turning northward. Ever turning blows the wind. On its round the wind returns. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place from which they flow, the streams flow back again. All such things are wearisome. No man can ever state them. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear enough of hearing. Only that shall happen which has happened. Only that occur which has occurred. There is nothing new beneath the sun. We know these passages very well. Huh? Sometimes there is a phenomenon of which they say, look, this one is new. It occurred long since in ages that went by before us. The earlier ones are not remembered, so to those that will occur later will no more be remembered than those that will occur at the very end. Kohelet was king in Jerusalem over Israel. I set my mind to study and to probe with wisdom all that happens under the sun, an unhappiness business that which God gave man to be concerned with. I observed all the happening beneath the sun, and I found that all is futile and pursuit of wind. So that's the start. So it's rather depressing. So the end, chapter 12. And I think it's a good, it's an explanation in a way. It gives you a certain wisdom, a certain place to put your mind. So appreciate your vigor in the days of your youth, before those days of sorrow come and those years arrive, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Before the sun and light and moon and stars grow dark and the clouds come back again after the rain. When the guards of the house become shaky and the men of valor are bent, and the maids that groan few are idle, and the ladies that peer through the windows grow dim, and the doors to the streets are shut with the noise of the handmill growing fainter, and the song of a bird growing feebler, and all the strains of music dying down, when one is afraid of heights and there is terror on the road. For the almond tree may blossom, the grasshopper be burdened, and the caper bush, C-A-P-E-R, caper or caper bush? Caper, huh? But man sets out for his eternal abode with mourners all around in the street before the silver cord snaps and the golden bowls crashes. The jar is shattered. I know I'm going to stop here because it's going to be very depressing. And at the end it says, the sum of the matter, when all is said and done, revere God and observe his commandments, for this applies to all mankind. So tell me, why do you think we read Kohelet?
To remind ourselves not to be too happy.
That's a very Ashkenazi answer, yeah. Not to be too happy, okay.
It's a bit like breaking the glass at a wedding, to remind you of the fragility.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to see it as well, yes. So there's a balance. I think it was with you, Dominic, we talked about the half empty and half full glass this morning. Huh? And the right balance, because I always, I strongly believe that Judaism is the middle way religion. It's not too much, it's not enough. It's how to find the middle way that makes us actually really happy, being aware of what happened, what can go wrong, but also welcoming and embracing what can go right. And I think that's very much of the Jewish way of living our own lives. There are some radicals and nudnik in Judaism, to be honest, but I think for me, my understanding of our faith is, find the right place, don't deny, no denial of hardship of life, but be ready to be happy when good things happen. And I think that's the reason why we have the joy, the simcha of Sukkah, and also this text which says, which kind of balance the things. It says, don't deny what may happen, but embrace what happened when it's good. And even when it's bad, there's always a lesson to draw from any situation, which is very easy to say when everything is fine, but when you're in the middle of a situation, it's not easy. Okay, page 483. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ההל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים שבכל דרכיו האמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל היום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. So for today, Dvar Torah, I have prepared something which I entitled A Feeble Sukkah, an exclamation mark. Because I came across, actually, through a colleague of mine, she introduced me to a fascinating discussion in the Talmud. Tractate Sukkah, obviously, because it's where we are now, about what is needed to make a sukkah a valid construction or not. That's really the kosher. Kosher doesn't mean sacred and holy. Kosher means fit or unfit. Is it fit for religious purpose or not? So the page, if you want to have a look, Sukkah 23a, on this page, the rabbis discuss the halachic validity of a sukkah that is built on a boat, on a coach, or as a tree house. I'm pretty sure you never thought about building a sukkah in these places, but the rabbis, the Talmud did, because they wanted to make sure that they covered all the possible situations. The text says, in the case of one who builds his sukkah at the top of a carriage or at the top of a ship, it is sufficient for a sukkah to be a temporary residence. And one may ascend and enter it even on the first day of a festival. So remember, the first day of a festival has a different status. It's like Shabbat. In the case of one who establishes his sukkah at the top of a tree or atop of a camel, the sukkah is fit, but one may not ascend and enter it on the first day of a festival because the sages prohibit climbing or using trees or animals on the festivals. It's one of the prohibitions. So, of course, they want to know who said that. And if you look in the Talmud, it's absolutely fascinating to see that they really want to know which rabbi said what. It's very important to give credit to people for their ideas. The Mishnah, the text I just read, is in accordance with Rabbi Akiva, who disagreed with Rabban Gamliel on this matter. Rabbi Akiva deemed a sukkah at the top of a ship fit, and Rabban Gamliel unfit, of course. Otherwise, it's not funny. So the Talmud tells now an anecdote that actually covers this. There was an incident involving Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Akiva, who were coming on a ship. Rabbi Akiva arose and established a sukkah at the top of the ship. The next day, the wind blew and uprooted it. Rabban Gamliel said to him, Akiva, where is your sukkah? You can imagine, hey, you disagree with me, look what you've done. It was unfit from the start. So what was the real core of the disagreement? So you can see that upon seeing Rabbi Akiva's sukkah destroyed by wind, Rabban Gamliel was pleased, to say the least. You know, they're humans, they're not kind of high spirits always on the right side, they can actually be a bit nasty to each other. In fact, the debate centers on how stable a sukkah must be. According to Rabban Gamliel, a sukkah must be strong enough to withstand any type of wind. But Rabbi Akiva argues that a sukkah is, by definition, a temporary dwelling that needs only to withstand the strength of the wind in the country where the sukkah is built. Logical. So that reminded me of a fable that was written by the French fabulist Jean de La Fontaine. You were talking about oak, so he wrote a very famous fable called The Oak and the Reed. You know that, of course. So it's the story of an almighty oak, which of course in Jean de La Fontaine's words represented the French king Louis XIV. You know, speaking of the ego, Louis XIV was the sun king. And the reed representing the French people. The oak thinks he is indestructible, and he pities the reed, which he thinks unfair nature made very weak and unfortunate. The oak wishes to help the reed and offers his protection. The reed, however, says that he might not be as strong as the oak, but he's been through a lot and is tough and long-lasting. And that's the true strength. To prove him right, a huge storm arrives and takes the oak down. There is a political message addressed to the Sun King. You are not as mighty as you think you are. And that was really very brave because, remember, in those days you could go to prison it was La Bastille already, you know, with just a letter from the king and send there, judgment. There was not the habeas corpus like in England. But there is something a bit deeper than that. We can read this fable in the light of a Talmudic debate about the sukkah. We don't always think twice about where we settle in life. In fact, most of the time we have little control over our own choices. We make choices and we don't always understand why. Sometimes we build our lives at the top of a tree with an idea of our own grandeur. Sometimes on the wobbly top of a camel. And if we feel adventurous, we may choose a boat and come what may. It is not surprising that today, as far as the construction of a sukkah is concerned, we follow Rabbi Akiva's ruling. It is impossible to be prepared for any situation that may arise, as Rabban Gamliel would like to be. We need to leave room for the unknown, the unexpected. And it is good enough to build a sukkah that is adapted to our current state. Why worry too much about the future? Let us live a good present here and now, and for the rest, Gam ze yahavor, this too shall pass. Chag Sameach and Shabbat Shalom. Right. Un soul, merci, le soul, absolument, ouais. In terms of announcement, I don't want to make too many. So today you have. Are you going to swim today?
He's going to swim. Karen and I are swimming. And Barbara's joining us. Anyone else would like to come join us out at the Albany Reach, Thames Beach off Aragon Avenue in Thames. Okay. And it could be there about 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay.
Subject to our finishing the service.
And Monday, of course, Monday evening we have Simchat Torah, so we come here at 8, and I really would like you to come because it's a very joyful, it's the end of this kind of marathon of the high holidays, and we're going to dance with the Torah scroll.
Will there be sweets?
There will be sweets, and
That's all you need to say, Rabbi. There will be sweets.
and I've heard even cakes. So
Sweets and cakes.
sweets and cakes. So, yeah. And the Kalat Torah and Kalat Bereshit this year are Elsa Actonbond and Hilary Cohen. And I really wanted to thank them for all the work they've been doing behind the scene to make sure the holidays were going well. So it's also a good way to show your support on Monday evening. So the tradition of, when we read the Torah on Simchat Torah, we are called Chatan Torah or Kalat Torah, which means the bride or the groom of Torah. There's this idea that because we are going to start the new cycle of Torah reading, there's something really special happening. It's a moment where we really celebrate, and it's been what's the word? It's been compared. It's been compared to like a wedding, the start of something new. This is why we talk about Chatan Torah and Kalat Torah. Yeah, please come in. Okay, so I will ask you to stand now for the Kaddish on page 524. And on this Shabbat, we remember Henry Simon, the father of Fleur Standring. So Fleur, I don't know if you're online today. I know that you wanted to come yesterday and you were stuck in traffic. It was really bad yesterday, so I wish you a long life if you can hear me today. I also wanted to remind us that we buried Edith Gerson on Thursday. Thursday? When was it? Yeah, Thursday. Edith Gerson was a long-standing member. She's been very frail for the past few years. Do you have any other names you would like to remember before we say the Kaddish?
Sabina Lester killed walking home because of heart, and all women who can't walk safely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this has to stop now. It has to stop. Zichronam livracha, may the memory be a blessing, and we say together on page 524, Yitgadal v'yitkadal shemei rabba, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kariv v'emru amen. Yehei shemei rabba mevorach le'alam le'almei almaya, יתברר וישתבר ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם. V'imru, amen. Please be seated. Oh, Jocelyn from Arkansas. Wow. So we have two people from Australia today. Jocelyn from Arkansas. Wow, that's welcome. What time is it? It's probably early in the morning for you. Okay. מה יפה היום, שבת שלום. מה יפה היום, שבת שלום. שבת שבת שלום. שבת שבת שלום. שבת שבת שלום. Shabbat Shalom. Please stand. Our God and God of ancestors, bless us with a threefold benediction of the Torah. Yevarech Adonai v'shmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God look kindly upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God reach out to you in tenderness and give you peace. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.